You finally get the chance to speak. Your heart pounds, your mind races, searching for the perfect grammar, the exact right word. A moment of silence stretches too long, and you panic. You mutter a weak, "Sorry, my English is bad," and retreat. Sound familiar? This isn't a language problem. This is a prison of perfectionism you built yourself. But what if the key to speaking fluently wasn't about being perfect, but about being brave enough to be perfectly imperfect? What if instead of waiting to speak, you started speaking to learn? The core problem. We've been taught that language is a test. We think we must first learn all the rules, memorize enough vocabulary, and perfect our accent before we dare to open our mouths. This creates a deadly cycle. Fear of mistakes leads to avoiding speaking. Avoiding speaking leads to zero practice. Zero practice makes speaking even scarier. It's a loop that keeps you silent for years. The truth is, the native speakers you admire don't speak perfect English. They speak effective English. They communicate ideas, even with uhs, with simple words, and with occasional errors. The goal is not perfection, it is connection. The mind shift. Do this instead. Your first and most critical mission is to redefine success. From today, a successful conversation is not one without errors. A successful conversation is one where an idea, however small, was understood. Period. Your new mantra is clarity over correctness, communication over perfection. This means giving yourself explicit permission to make mistakes. In fact, you must welcome them. Every mistake is not a failure. It is a flashing arrow pointing directly at what you need to learn next. It is priceless, immediate feedback. So the action for this stage is not a speaking drill. It is a mental declaration. Write it down. I am allowed to make mistakes. My goal is to be understood, not perfect. Your journey to fearless speaking starts not with your mouth, but with this liberation of your mind. You must break the walls of your prison before you can take the first step out. Once you do, the real, messy, and incredibly effective practice can begin.
If the first step was mental liberation, the second is safe practice. You cannot overcome the fear of speaking in front of others by starting in front of others. The stage fright would be overwhelming. You need a training ground with zero audience, zero judgment, and zero pressure. That training ground is a daily mini monologue. What is it? This is not a formal speech. It is a simple, daily 2 to 3 minute talk with yourself, out loud, in English. The topic is anything from your life. Describe your room, explain your plan for the day, talk about what you ate for lunch, or vent about a small frustration. The rule is simple. You must keep speaking for the full time, even if you have to describe the same object in 3 different ways because you can't remember the word. This is not about impressing anyone. It's about building the neural pathway between your thoughts and your spoken English. Why this works? 1. It normalizes speaking. By making English come out of your mouth daily, you break the strange formal barrier you've built around it. It becomes a normal tool, not a sacred test. 2. It highlights gaps in real time. You will constantly hit moments where you think, how do I say that? This is gold. It shows you exactly what vocabulary or grammar you need to learn for your real life, making your study hyper-personal and effective. 3. It builds speech muscle memory. Just as athletes train muscles, you are training your mouth, tongue, and brain to work together to produce English spontaneously. You're moving from translation to direct production. Do this instead. Instead of silently memorizing lists of words, spend 3 minutes describing your kitchen aloud. Stammer, use simple words, circle back, but keep going. Record yourself if you can bear it. Listen back not to criticize your accent, but to celebrate the fact that you spoke and to identify one thing to improve. For example, I didn't know the word for sink. This practice builds the foundational fluency and confidence you need before you ever face another person. You are learning to walk before you run in the complete privacy of your own mind.
The Communication First Toolkit. Now that you're speaking aloud daily, you have a voice. But the fear of real conversation often stems from a specific panic. What if I get stuck and don't know the word? What if I don't understand them? This fear of breakdown paralyzes us. The solution is not to know every word. It's to master the art of navigating the unknown. You need a Communication First Toolkit. This toolkit contains simple, powerful phrases that keep the conversation flowing even when your language skills hit a wall. These are your lifelines. Memorize them. They are more important than advanced vocabulary. Your essential phrases. When you don't know a word, what's the word for? Describe it. It's like a... Give a simple example. For example, it's like a bowl, but for washing dishes. A sink. When you don't understand, could you say that in a simpler way? Do you mean repeat your understanding? When you need a moment to think, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. Well, I have two thoughts on that. Do this instead. Instead of freezing when you hit a gap, embrace the gap as part of the process. Use your toolkit. A native speaker will almost always help you if you ask. This shift is revolutionary. You stop seeing yourself as a failing student and start acting like an effective communicator who is strategically managing the interaction. Your goal is no longer to prove your English is perfect, but to ensure the exchange of ideas succeeds. This toolkit gives you the practical power to make that happen, transforming anxiety into proactive strategy. Practice using these phrases in your daily mini monologue. Soon they will become automatic, and the fear of breakdown will lose its power over you. Seek the signal, not the noise. You have your mindset, your daily practice, and your toolkit. Now it's time for the real test, another person. But if you approach every conversation as a judgment on your overall English ability, you will panic. The key is to change your objective. Your goal in any early conversation is not to speak fluently. It is to seek one clear signal. Define a tiny, specific, achievable goal for every interaction. This goal is your signal. Everything else, the mistakes, the awkward pauses, the accents, is just noise to be ignored. Here are examples of powerful micro-goals. Today, I will use my "Can you say that in a simpler way?" phrase once. In this talk, I will successfully describe one object I don't know the word for. I will focus on listening and give one relevant follow-up response. Do this instead. Instead of jumping into a free-form conversation hoping for the best, you enter with a mission. You are a scientist collecting one specific data point. This reframes the entire experience. Success is no longer a vague feeling of doing well. It is the concrete, undeniable achievement of your micro-goal. Did you use your phrase? Success. Did you describe the object? Victory. This method achieves two crucial things. One, it reduces overwhelm. Your brain focuses on a single manageable task, not the terrifying totality of having a conversation. And two, it creates a track record of wins. Each small success builds evidence against your fear. You prove to yourself repeatedly that you can navigate a real interaction. You stop collecting proof of your inadequacy and start building a portfolio of your competence. Find a language partner or a patient friend. Tell them your micro-goal beforehand, then talk. Ignore the noise of other errors. Hunt only for your signal. When you achieve it, the conversation is a triumph. You are no longer a passive participant being judged. You are an active hunter in control of your own learning journey.
The fluency flywheel. You have liberated your mind, built your voice in private, armed yourself with tools, and learned to target micro-wins in conversation. Now, we connect these actions into a self-reinforcing cycle, the fluency flywheel. This is the engine that turns practice into permanent, fearless proficiency. The flywheel has 4 linked stages. 1. Speak, even poorly. You use your mini monologue or have a micro-goal conversation. You communicate, making mistakes. 2. Identify the gap. Immediately after, you pinpoint the one most glaring hurdle. Was it a missing word? A grammar confusion? A moment you couldn't understand? This is not a criticism, it's a precious data point. 3. Learn with purpose. You now go and learn exactly that one thing. You look up the word, find the grammar pattern, or decipher the native phrase you heard. This study is hyper-efficient because it's driven by a real, immediate need from your own life. 4. Integrate immediately. You deliberately use that new word or pattern in your next mini monologue or conversation. You close the loop. Do this instead. Instead of studying random, disconnected topics and hoping they'll be useful, you let your actual speaking guide your learning. Each conversation directly fuels your next study session, which directly improves your next conversation. The flywheel begins to spin. Fear transforms into fuel. Every mistake becomes valuable feedback that tells you precisely what to learn next. Every moment of confusion becomes a targeted question. You stop being a passive consumer of English and become the active architect of your fluency. The goal is no longer to be unafraid. The goal is to be too engaged in this effective cycle to be paralyzed by fear. You're too busy noticing your progress, too focused on your next micro-goal, too empowered by solving your own real problems. You are not just speaking English, you are engineering your own success, one clear, confident revolution of the flywheel at a time. The journey never ends, but the fear that once stopped you is now left behind, silent and irrelevant.